Disclaimer, Blue sent me this microphone for review, and I thank them for the opportunity to test out this microphone. Hey everyone, this is Frazly. So I got some cool news today. I was given the opportunity to test out the new Blue Yeti X World of Warcraft edition. That's a mouthful, so I've got a video right now showing you just like what it looks like on the outside and showing you what it looks like with the different stuff around the base. You might be noticing I'm not talking into my normal mic right now because I'm using this mic for this review. Some of the stuff I like about it is it's a gorgeous design. There's a wow feel to it. It feels sturdy. It feels well made. I've actually got one of the original Yetis and it really doesn't look much different. One cool thing about this one is there's voice modulation. So if we open up the Logitech software for G-Hub, when you go to the Yeti X, there's some new stuff like there's this thing called Blue Voice. You can modify the gain inside, see if you're clipping or not, see what your master output volume is. There's an equalizer. You can process your voice through the software like noise reduction, gate, compressor, de-esser, depopper, and you can set different presets. I've got mine right now on the Broadcaster 1 preset, but you can create your own. I know people who have used the Yeti X, not this one, but another Yeti X, and they have their own presets. One interesting thing about this one is there are voice effects. So if you've seen me on my stream, you know I love voice effects. There are some right now that are in here like
I can be a World of Warcraft orc, Loktar Ogar.
I can be a gnome.
You can be a demon and the Burning Legion is back. You have not gone anywhere.
You can be an imp. Do some stuff. Yeah.
One thing to be mindful about this, I actually did the rest of this in the demon voice and did not realize it. Sorry. So yeah, I like this. And they said they're going to be adding more things. One thing that they were telling me that they have things like a Murloc voice that they were testing out and that they want to have it where they community portal, the ability for you to share voice effects with other people. So this is just what I've seen as the latest update for this software. And already, I think it's really cool what they've done on the device. One thing to note is you can change the pattern here. So if I like that a lot of the controls on the device have a software component. So again, you don't have to worry about, say, having the position or remembering how far did you have the thing. Because on the Yeti that I had before this, the controls were all on the device and you had to remember where you had the controls. Here, you can save these presets, you can save all the stuff in here. In some of today's modern hardware, I like the combination of software and hardware to make it easy to set things in software, but also see it if you need to make an adjustment while you're doing something live. Another thing about this version of the Yeti, the World of Warcraft edition, has samplers, where they've worked with Blizzard to get high quality versions of different things. We got like spells, like Lightning Storm. You can also create your own samples. We've got access to a bunch of samples from World of Warcraft. I know some podcasters, Allie at Dungeon Fables, who would love this because Allie always uses sound effects on her show and they are amazing. I love voice effects and sound effects, and I think that that's pretty cool that this is something that's built into this mic. Of course, you can adjust the lighting. Like I was saying, there's hardware controls and stuff like that. So you can adjust the lighting. Like I've got mine on a purple when it's live. It really is like the original Yeti, but with a software component. One thing I don't like about it is the fact that there's not any audio routing like in the Elgato software or the GoXLR software, because that is one thing that coming up, you can like send audio from your system to the headphone jack on the Yeti. You can control how much you hear of the system versus how much you can hear of your mic for audio monitoring. But I would love to see even further if they can make it where like you could route stuff. So say like I can route my mic over to OBS, or I can route chat over there, or say I want to like change the volumes. Because one thing that the GoXLR does, and even the Elgato Wave, is it has routing to different virtual devices. It's something that you can do with Voicemeeter Banana, and I would love to see more of that in this software. So with the sampler, you can set keys. If you have Logitech keyboards, you can set keys to do these different soundboard samplers, but there's not any integration with Stream Deck, which I understand from a company standpoint because this is Logitech and Stream Deck is Elgato, but it would be cool to see that integration between both. Logitech owns Streamlabs, and that there's Streamlabs integration with Stream Deck. I would love to see it go even further to make it where like, we get it that you may not own Logitech keyboards, but we want to still support what's going on with the Stream Deck. I don't expect them to add the same level of integration to Corsair keyboards, but the Stream Deck, I think, is that in-between type of device. One thing I don't like about mics, and this is a personal preference of me of my setup, is I don't like devices that are USB only. I am in an XLR setup. So my mic that I use, my daily driver, is an XLR mic that goes into a USB mixer, but it's still an XLR microphone. I can take any other XLR microphone and put that into the Go XLR. I mean, there's even a way to take the Yeti into a Go XLR, but I like having a device that lets me go into a mixer or anything like that. And this device, say there's something the software doesn't do, and you want to go even further, you can't do that with this device unless you do something like taking the headphone output, putting it into a Go XLR, which does work. But I'm still somebody that I like having the option of, if you're going to provide USB, providing an XLR option. And there is a version of the Yeti that has an XLR output on it. So I was disappointed that there was not an XLR output on this. You're actually seeing me recording my video on my streaming PC, and I am sending the audio for my gaming PC over NDI to my streaming PC because I have Discord and all my chat on my gaming PC, and then I send that over using a line out input. It would have been nice in some way to somehow like plug this into my Go XLR and have access to that if I wanted that full functionality. But you don't have to be as advanced as I am. I do sometimes things very complicated, and I know it. It still has that condenser sound. In my setup, you might hear echo. You might hear things like that. And I like a dynamic because it is focused on my voice and rejects everything else. But I have also to say that the sound on a Yeti, if you tune it in right, it's sometimes more broad than a dynamic. It has more of that, you're capturing everything. But you also can capture more echo. You can capture noise, like if my cat meows outside, or if my family's watching a show downstairs. You can hear that possibly, depending with it. Whereas with my mic that I use on my daily driver, you can't hear that as much. It is definitely a personal perspective on condenser versus dynamic, and for me, I like the dynamic route, but I've edited guests on Yetis who sound great. And I know in the past, I've said things about Yetis, and I still stand by a lot of those. Because sometimes people put the pattern of the Yeti on the capture everything around them sound, or like some talk into the Yeti from the top, whereas it is a side address microphone. And even in my review guide, it said it's a side address microphone. One thing I would encourage you to do is if you use a Yeti as your daily driver, I would suggest getting a boom arm. I've got one for my mic, and I gotta say, it helps because I can be at better posture. The audio even that you're hearing on this isn't quite so well because the Yeti's down there. I'm trying as best as I can to project into it, but when I'm streaming, it's here. One benefit is because the Yeti can pick up so much, you can have the Yeti out of your frame. When you see what I do, my mic is right in my face. And if you want that look of here out of the frame, and there's ways to make the audio sound very close in. So it really is subjective on if you like the sound of the Yeti or condenser or dynamic. And I think just know what you're getting into for your setup. A boom arm is one thing that no matter what mic you use, I suggest that, because then you also don't get the sound if you're moving stuff on the table, because you're not shaking the mic by having it on a boom arm. You might still have a little bit of a shake, but it reduces that ability. Overall, I think they've done an amazing job for the Yeti. Am I going to use it for what I do? I don't think so. I like a dynamic, and that's what I like for my setup. But if you've been using a Yeti and you want some of the voice modulation, if you want to sound like a gnome, just don't record all of your video in voice modulation like I did. Otherwise, you'd be re-recording this like I am right now. The voice modulation is very fun, and like I said, I love voice modulation. I still like XLR inputs. It's an interesting proposition. You're paying for licensing because a Yeti X is about $170 on like Sweetwater and Amazon and things like that from as of today in this recording. Whereas at Best Buy, this is $200 plus tax. So you are paying for the tax of the licensing and stuff like that. But you're getting a mic that I think does look gorgeous. I have to admit, I am a sucker sometimes for eye candy. So I admit that the USB only side can be a pain, but if you're in a single PC setup or you don't need that audio routing of the Go XLR voice meter or say the Elgato, or you can do stuff through voice meter and you can find workarounds, then hey, it might be for you. It really is plug and play. You just plug it in, download the right software, the GHub software, and you can instantly start modifying things. I like that they've added noise reduction. I could see them working into the software, maybe stuff with the RTX voice with crisp. I can see them going further. The fact that they're having so much integration with the software, I see room for improvement. I was even telling them, hey, one thing, because they own Streamlabs, they could have it where Streamlabs could put out a channel point or something, or you redeem with the Streamlabs store, and people change your voice effect for like 5 or 10 minutes. That would be a pretty cool integration between Streamlabs and the Yeti software that they have. Voice modulation is fun. I don't know if they worked with Blizzard for these voices, but if they did, that is kick-ass. That's awesome. I remember talking with Taryn about how he did medicine, and Taryn knows how to modulate voices. So I'm hoping Taryn worked with this because that's cool. So this is my impressions. I don't want to call it a review because a review sounds so final. Whereas if I do impression, it shows, okay, here's what I've learned about it. Here's my take on it. But I feel like if you want a review on a lot of mics, check out Podcastage. Stephen Bandrew does a ton of work on mics. He's a musician. He looks at the sound levels. He looks at what's the background noise. So his reviews, I call those reviews. Whereas this is what I think. You hear my subjectivity and all, but I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to say, hey, this is what they're showing. And I was honored that Blue sent this over to me. If you have other questions, leave them in the comments. Talk to me on a stream at twitch.tv/FrazlyS. I can show you live what it's like. I can try things out live. I can answer questions on what you have. I don't know how long Blue's going to let me keep this mic, but for as long as I have it, I will answer questions and show you and try to give you, again, my feedback. But I don't ever want to say that I'm an authority on sound because I'm still learning stuff all the time. Hell, I'm learning stuff about myself, so I'm not an expert, but I want to share what I know. Thank you for joining me for this review. Thank you again, Blue, for sending me this mic to test. You can find me on Twitter at Frazzytastic. Send me a DM, send me a tweet, and I'll do my best to answer stuff. And until next time, my friends, be awesome.